Hi, welcome to NLF Live, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a tip that you can apply in your everyday life regarding criminal defense. Well, I guess this probably shouldn't be part of your everyday life, but just in case you encounter a DUI situation, I figured that this is probably one of my favorite tips that a lot of people don't know or they don't know how to apply it. So, very first thing I want to talk about is what happens when you get stopped for a DUI, right? You are encountered by a police officer. They ask you to step out the vehicle. They're going to say that they smelled an odor of alcohol. And when you get out, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions like, how much did you have to drink? Where are you coming from? Do you have any injuries? Is there anything wrong with your car? What did you have to eat? Where did you sleep? Bunch of questions that you actually don't have to answer. They're called pre-field sobriety test questions, and they are part of the DUI investigation. You're not required to answer them. And so from the pre-field sobriety test questions, it leads into the actual field sobriety test. Those are like one leg stand where they actually make you stand on one foot, look down at your toe, and count some weird way that nobody's used to counting. Nobody's used to standing that way. And the tests are hard to do even if you haven't been drinking. I've tried in this very office and I've failed. They'll ask you to do something like walk the line, but they're not looking, the things that they're looking for, they don't tell you, right? They're trying to see whether or not your heel is actually touching your toe when you take the 9 steps. Do you step off the line? Are you using your arms to balance? Did you complete the turn correctly? Did you start moving during the instructions? And before they tell you, what to do on these tests, they don't inform you what they're grading you against. Like they have this list of clues that they're looking at to figure out whether or not you're actually under the influence. Most of us think like, oh, okay, I'm good to drive, or I hear from so many people, I completed the test successfully, or I passed the test. And really and truly, it turns out that they didn't. Because they don't know what the clues are. And so I'll probably do another episode where I talk about all of the different clues that they're looking for. But yeah, so there's the walk and turn test. Then there's another one that they like to do is actually not a standardized test. They have you lean your head back and close your eyes and count to 30 and then say when to stop. And they're looking for whether or not you're swaying from side to side and whether or not your eyelid is tremoring. That's called the Romberg. And then they have the horizontal gaze Nystagmus test, where they actually put a stimulus in front of your face and they have you track it from side to side. And what they're looking for is whether or not there's like a bouncing in your eye, and at what point does that bouncing start. And the interesting thing about all of these tests, no matter what they're making you do, whether it's standardized or not, is that you have the right to not do them. You can just politely say, I'm not interested in completing any of your tests. Now, here's the thing, just because you don't do the tests, just because you don't answer the questions, doesn't mean that they won't take you into custody. They might take you into custody, but what happens is you aren't providing any additional evidence against you that could potentially be used against you. I mean, you have the right, the constitutional right against self-incrimination, so you don't have to say anything, especially if you're not under arrest. At this point, it's just their investigation. You don't have to assist them in their investigation. The other thing they do during the field sobriety test is what's called a preliminary alcohol screening test, and that is a breathalyzer. It's a little machine that they have you blow in 2 times, and they usually wait for 2 minutes between each blow. And if you want to, you can refuse that also. What they're looking for is what content of alcohol is in your breath. But whether you do that or not, if they take you down to the station, they're going to have you do a breath test or a blood test anyway and get the information that they're looking for. So pre-FSD questions, the FSTs, and the preliminary alcohol screening test, like I said, you can refuse them all. The only time you can't refuse them is if you're on probation for another DUI already. And I would hope that you're not on probation for a DUI, but if you were, you cannot refuse the preliminary alcohol screening test. So then you get down to the station and because more than likely, if they smelled the odor of alcohol, you had red, watery eyes, you had an unsteady gait, and maybe they saw some bad driving, they're going to take you down to the station whether or not you do all of these tests. And once you get down there, they're going to ask you whether you want to do a breath or a blood test. Now, this test is actually required by having a California driver's license. You have consented. Hi, Magali. You have consented by having a license to do one of these tests. Now, if you refuse, then they should, because if not, they're not allowed to do this, but they'll go and get a warrant and take your blood anyway. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions or any tips that you'd like to hear, let me know. You know, I can't give you legal advice because I'm not your attorney, but I can give you some general tips and talk to you about the law and talk to you about some of the things that we typically encounter. And yeah, I'm happy to answer whatever you may have that just goes on about like the general things that we run into as criminal defense attorneys, especially when it comes to everyday type crimes like a DUI. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.